Well, what is up, my friends? Alexander Isak has absolutely nailed his colours to the mast. I'm going to take you through his bombshell of a statement that he released tonight on Instagram during the PFA Awards, or probably after the PFA Awards. I'm going to take you through what he said, what it might mean, and of course, I'm going to give you my opinion on it. Would love to know your thoughts. Feel free to let me know in the comment section. Drop a like if you enjoy this video, and of course, we'd love you to hit that subscribe button. If you want the news directly to your phone, including polls on what we think is likely to happen, make sure you join the Anfield Agenda WhatsApp by scanning that QR code there on the screen. And again, a little pitch for our podcast went out today. You can find it on Spotify and here on YouTube. Myself, Connor and Chris spoke for about 45 minutes around the transfer window, the game against Bournemouth, and lots more. Just search Anfield Agenda Podcast on Spotify or have a look here on YouTube, right? So I'm going to start off with something Transfer News Live posted, which is just about the transfer spending in this window. Premier League clubs have already spent £2.26 billion on transfers this summer. That's an increase of 12.7% on the spend last summer. BBC there, credit to them for the stat. Right, the Premier League Team of the Year has been announced. In that team, Matt Sells of Nottingham Forest, Virgil van Dijk, Milos Kerkez, William Saliba, Gabriel, Declan Rice, Ryan Gravenberch, Alexis McAllister, Mohamed Salah, Alexander Isak and Chris Wood. And congratulations to now 5 Liverpool players. I kept forgetting to mention Kerkez earlier on, but Kerkez, Mo, obviously Virgil van Dijk, Ryan Gravenberch and Alexis McAllister, all congratulations to you guys for getting into the team of the season. Also, want to just leave this up there because we got to credit the great man, right? Mohamed Salah has been crowned the PFA Player of the Year, a very deserving winner as well. I think he'll agree. Surely always going to go one way. And congratulations to Mo on that one. Very well deserved, King. Very well deserved, right? Isak. Firstly, let's read out the statement that Isak posted on Instagram, and then I'll give you my take on it. So, he wrote this tonight. He said, "I'm proud to be recognised by my fellow professionals with a place in the PFA Premier League Team of the Season for 2024-25. First and foremost, I want to thank my teammates and everybody at Newcastle who has supported me along the way. I'm not at the ceremony tonight. With everything going on, it didn't feel right to be there. I've kept quiet for a long time while others have spoken. That silence has allowed people to push their own version of events, even though they know it doesn't reflect what was really said and agreed behind closed doors. The reality is that promises were made and the club had known my position for a long time. To now act as if these issues are only emerging is misleading. When promises are broken and trust is lost, the relationship can't continue. That's where things are for me right now, and why change is in the best interest of everybody, not just myself." Signed, Alexander Isak. So, my reaction to this statement is that firstly, it's very clear from Newcastle fans' reaction that they're not used to being in the limelight. And whilst they might like to think of themselves as a big club, this whole saga and the way it's been dealt with from their side has shown them up to be, well, naive to say the least. Now, the Luke Edwards of this world are probably exactly who Isak is speaking about when he said only one side of this and one narrative here is being pushed. And that's right. And I've been at pains to say this all the way through. We haven't heard from Alexander Isak. It's very easy for us all to jump on and say, oh, players throwing his toys out of the pram, it doesn't look great. And it doesn't. Nobody's ever tried to say that. But the hypocrisy needs to be spoken about here as well. Where's the same energy for Viktor Gyökeres? Where's the same energy for Johan Visa? Where was the same energy for Raheem Sterling when he wanted to leave Liverpool and Luis Suarez and others? This happens every single year. But when one of the big clubs, and in this case Liverpool, is involved, the energy in the media really changes. And certainly the perception of opposition fans changes. What this statement has done tonight is, I think, let it be known very clearly once again for him that there is no rebuilding, there is no fixing this, there is no changing it. He wants to leave Newcastle. And the Newcastle fans have lost their mind. Mouth of the Time, an account on there said, "The Saudis will be absolutely livid with this. He's essentially humiliating an entire nation with what he's come out with tonight. The PIF want to push Saudi Arabia and Newcastle United to the upper echelons of sporting greatness. Isak has just shat on that." Really? That's what you take from that? That's where you're going? Shall I read out the statement again? First and foremost, I want to thank my teammates and everybody at Newcastle United who've supported me along the way. So, do I think that the PIF and the Saudis are over there now absolutely livid with this? Well, I'm sure that they're not happy. Never good to see negative headlines in and around your own football club. But to talk about somebody disrespecting an entire country is once again an example of why these particular subset of fans, and I wouldn't dare tarnish all Newcastle fans with the same brush, but there's a lot of them seemingly feeling like they're speaking for the club on social media who don't have a clue what they're on about and don't have a clue how this situation plays out. They just want to belittle and undermine and bully a player. Luke Edwards loves throwing around the word bully. Newcastle won't be bullied. What about the player? What about his welfare? What about his thought process? Any chance that any of that is important when you're just trying to push one side of this, Luke? You know, I know, and the world knows that there's two sides to this story. But some people just want clicks, and yeah, we're all in that game, but at least I try to back up what I say. And at least I try to empathise with some people. The way that Newcastle fans have thrown Isak under the bus publicly, burned his shirts, put up banners, and yes, Liverpool fans have done this before. I'm aware. But we need to start this conversation from the perspective of understanding we're all hypocrites. All of us are self-serving. We all want our football club to do well. And for me to sit here and say anything other than, I will smirk like a Cheshire cat if we sign Isak, I'd be a liar. Because I promise you, if we sign him, I am going to be on here baiting, winding up and taunting Newcastle fans because that's my job. That's what we're supposed to do. It's football, it's banter. But the levels of disrespect, it needs to stop. There's a human being at the centre of this. Remember that. A human being who's seen a narrative of, he's refusing to train. Has he? He's there every day. Training after the first team. Oh, he's throwing his toys out of the pram. Was it him that pulled himself out of the selection for the Celtic game? Or was it the manager? He was there ready to play. But the manager changed his mind. And then from that point on, it's been an absolute shit show from the Newcastle side. Miscommunications, half stories, and backing the player into the corner. And you expect what? What do you expect him to do in that scenario? Say, I'm sorry, lads. All the lies that was told to me, all the false promises. Put in a transfer request. Why? Why should he be out of pocket even more? If he was promised a pay rise a year ago, would you do that in your job? Would you walk in and say, I'm going to forego more money to make a point? No, of course he wouldn't. Why should he have to put in a transfer request? Let's hear the man out. Because everybody has an opinion and nobody wants to look at it and think maybe he has a point. Well, let's hear what Isak has to say in it. He's made a statement tonight. He's made it pretty clear. He doesn't want to play for Newcastle again. And let's be fair about this. Two things can be right at once. Just because he doesn't want to be at Newcastle now does not mean he didn't love, idolise and worship those Newcastle fans who welcomed him into the club, who treated him really well and who supported him all the way through. He delivered a League Cup with those other players. But he feels like his journey at Newcastle has come to an end. And what I would say, respectfully, to our Newcastle fans is think about the picture this puts out to future players. You speak about the ambition of the PIF and the Saudis. I'm sure that is there. But what does this send out? What message to other players like Sesko, who didn't want to go? If you go to Newcastle, you do well and the big club comes in and you want to move, they're not going to make it possible for you. How's that going to look to agents? All of this, in my opinion, have been very naive from a club that isn't used to this type of situation. It's as simple as that for me, and I've quite frankly had enough of it. So I hope Isak becomes a Liverpool player for his own well-being, as well as, of course, my own selfish, self-serving interest, but I've had my say on it. Over to you guys now. Mark Gay, that situation is an interesting one. Some reports say we're still negotiating with Crystal Palace. Inter Milan have apparently come to the table saying they'd like him on a free in the summer. Liverpool at the moment know the ball is still in our court. We can get him this summer. I hope that we do. But let's see what happens over the last week or two of the window. We know that there are, 12 days to go until the window slams shut. We need the centre-back situation cleared up. We need to go out there and bring in another top-class striker, hopefully Isak. That's all right, Matt. Over to you guys now to let me know your thoughts. And as I said, appreciate all of your support. Appreciate all of you joining us tonight. But some things just need to be said, and some of this nonsense needs to stop. Everybody has their own vested interest in it. Some are pushing the Newcastle side, Some are pushing the Liverpool side, but ultimately, at the end of the day, it's football, and it's a player who's valued at 120 million by Liverpool. That's not shabby. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.